Hi, good evening, all of you. Hi, good evening, all of you. Hope you are able to view me. Hope you are able to view the screen and you are able to listen me properly. If not, you can again uh, exit the link and again log in the link and you can access the training session on good review practices. I purposely focus on the good review practices and also a risk based approach of a good review practices. Why we are discussing this topic? What is the importance of this topic? Because this due to the poor review or inadequate review only, the many companies are facing a lot of problems. See, I'll tell you that all companies are having a defined quality management systems. All companies are having defined documentations and all. Then the point is why some companies are having the observations of the documents and some companies are not. You will come to know that most of the observation you can reduce. Again, I am telling you can reduce most of the observation by making your review more structured and strong so that the observations can be reduced during the regulatory inspections. So that is the reason how we can make our review better, how we can put more efforts in proper review of the documents. This is all we are going to discuss on this session. Basically, during this session, I will be focusing on the different regulatory requirements from even the FDA, UGMP, MHRA, PICS, and even the other Schedule M of India, WHO. All the different guidelines I will be referring, and even wherever the specific slide will be there, I will specify that from which guideline I am going to discuss this topic. So please be with me and understand. If you have any questions in between about this training, you can put your questions in the chat box so that I will revert back to you on in the chat box only. Okay, so this is what the brief about the our today's discussion on the topic. And now let us discuss about the what is the content or what we are going to discuss during this session. So, of course, we already had a brief introduction about the topics and all. Know your trainer. So, there will be a short brief, 2 3 slides about me. Then we will discuss about some FDA citations, the FDA observations with respect to the review. From review, if the company might have good review practices, then these observations could have been avoided. But how, what are these observations and how this can be avoided? So we'll discuss or touch upon some FDA citations. We will discuss some key regulatory requirements where what are the specific requirements of US FDA with respect to the documentation and review, what is the specific requirement with respect to EU, MHRA and all, that we will discuss during the key regulatory requirements. Further, we will discuss about the key review practices. What are the 10 rules of the review practices, that also we are going to discuss. And this whatever I am telling, it will be from the guidelines only. Again, I am telling you, okay, all will be referring to the guidelines only. Then what are the aspects of a good review, how we can follow the risk based approach in the documentation review or routine documentation review, that we will be touch upon. Then review expectations versus reality, understanding the difference between counter check and review. Many people confuse about what is the counter check and what is the review, so that also we will touch upon this concept here. And the very important thing is there any possibility that everyone can review the documents, or we need to qualify the reviewers? Or if we want to qualify the reviewer, how we can qualify the particular reviewer that yes, this reviewer will work properly or not, or this reviewer will review properly or not? That is what we are going to discuss. And of course the question answer session. So already I discussed with you that whatever you have any questions during our discussions, you please put in your chat box or comment section. I will revert back to your all questions. Now the point here, what I want to tell you is, before moving ahead, if you uh, I am sharing this, the profile about me. You can go through this. And what I want to share with you before going ahead is, if you feel that my speaking is very fast, you know, if you feel that I am very fast and some you may not able to understand easily, then you can reduce the speed of the video, or you can pause in between while I am discussing, and you can listen the same content again, just to avoid the missing of any content. Okay, so this is what the CV, brief CV about me. I am not going to read all the things stuff. Why I am sharing this part of this video presentation, because many companies, they put this training session as their external training, and they file their GMP record as external training record. No problem, absolutely, but the requirement is that the company needs to present the CV of the trainer or expert who is providing the training. So that is the reason, I am presenting a part of the my couple of slides, a part of my training session only. These are some companies where I work. I started my career with Sun Pharma, then I work with Blue Cross Laboratories, then I work in a validation qualification team and stability team of Alembic Pharma, and of course training team also in Alembic Pharma. I work overall compliance head in Hadas Cadila Moraiya plant. I work in different multinational companies like AstraZeneca, then Sanofi, and Mylan. I work as a quality head in USV. So these are just a brief about me. I don't want to put more focus on these. And just before going ahead, I want to put this disclaimer, because why I am putting this disclaimer, because I am giving my opinion, and whatever I am giving the presentation based on the collected information from different guidelines, different information, literatures and all. So I will provide you some practical approaches also when I will be discussing. So you need to evaluate as per your company's practices, procedures, which will be suitable at your end, and then you can implement. That is the reason, I just want to put a disclaimer that whenever you want to implement, you implement the practice whatever I am recommending, like how to qualify reviewer and all. But the point is, whenever you are applying any guideline, whenever you are implementing the things, I suggest or I request to all of you to refer the current guideline, because this now will be the part of the video and it will be available in the YouTube for a long period. So maybe after 4 or 5 months some guideline may revise, so it is always better for learning. You can refer this video, absolutely, there is no any problem. But if you want to implement in your organization, you can refer this video, and then you can refer the guideline. That is more better approach, what is I suggest to you. So that is the reason I am just putting this disclaimer. And let us start with our today's discussion. And the first point is the FDA citations about the documentation review and all. So you can go through these observations. So I am not going to share the name of the company because it is our learning session. But this is what are the FDA observation. I just copy the image and put in the slides or in the presentation. Okay. So you can see that review of the reissuance of records mainly by the quality assurance department indicated more than 100 log events of batch records and so on, uncontrolled Excel sheets, and the reason for reissuance. So there are the reissuance of the records and all. So even on 2019 September 2019, we discussed the use of uncontrolled documents in the QC laboratory. This included a large bound logbook that included entries of OS investigation. This logbook is not part of the QC related SOPs and not officially issued by the quality unit and all. So this type of observations, you can definitely avoid during the normal inspection. So my always suggestion is, before, when you make your review strong, you can reduce this type of observation. Again, this is the second observation. You can go through this. This is the FDA citation. So normally this first line in the bold, it is referring to the FDA, the CFR requirement. So the responsibilities and procedures applicable to the quality control unit are not fully followed. So this is the FDA requirement in the CFR, Code for Federal Regulations, and then specifically, and this is actually the observation. So you can just pause this video for some time if you wish, and you can just go through the observation in detail. See, I am just sharing some example of the FDA citation to make you aware that at what extent this the review is important in any organization, irrespective of you are in a API manufacturing, formulation, injectable, or any type of formulation, or biologics, or storage facility, analytical laboratory, whatever. The review plays very important role, and this is again the another example of 483. This also you can go through and you can understand. If you have any questions, definitely you can put in the chat box. This is the next observations, written procedures for packaging operations related to this observation. You can go through this. Again, another observation by FDA. I am not reading all the observations. The point here I want to emphasize is there are so many observations. Okay, these are some examples what I put here, but this is just a small examples, 4-5 examples what I just collected to make this today's presentation. The point here is I just want to make you aware that the review plays a very important role in any organization. That is what my point here to discuss with you all people. Okay. And now with these, let us discuss about the regulatory expectations or the regulatory requirements about the documentation. So again, I am telling you these are the guideline requirement, and you can see this is the US FDA requirement. So I have put the US FDA logo here. So that means this is directly taken from the guideline, FDA guideline. This is not from my side. And what FDA expects, there should be written procedure for storage, manufacturing, storage, analysis, manufacturing, and holding of the drug product. So this is a statement common. So there shall be written procedure for. These written procedures, including any changes, shall be drafted, reviewed, and approved by the appropriate organization unit, and reviewed and approved by the quality control unit. So that means the document or the SOP what we are preparing, it should be reviewed by the concerned department personnel as well as quality control unit. Now most of the company, they have the quality assurance department, so it should be reviewed by the approved and reviewed by the quality assurance also. So SOP should be reviewed by, prepared by the concerned department head, reviewed by the concerned department head, respective department head. Then next review will be additional review by the quality assurance or quality control unit, and approval by the final approval by the quality control unit or quality assurance. This is what the expectation. So minimum 4 signatures in the SOP. This is what the expectation here. Written production and process control procedure shall be followed, of course. So whatever you are preparing the SOP, that has to be followed. This is the expectation by FDA. Now there are some other expectation by MHRA guideline. Hope you are aware about the US FDA, MHRA, and other guidelines. So I am not discussing in detail about the guideline, but this is the MHRA guideline requirement. Routine data review should include a documented audit trail review where this is determined by a risk assessment. Very clear, and this is the guideline requirement. Again, I am telling you, please focus. So what MHRA expects, that whatever you have the routine data review, whatever data review you are doing in your plant or manufacturing facility, it should include a documented audit trail review, and this is determined by a risk-based approach. Audit trails may be reviewed as a list of relevant data or by an exception reporting process. An exception reports is a validated search tool that identifies and documents predetermined abnormal data or actions that require further attention or investigation by the data reviewer. This is the expectation of MHRA. Now the point is what? Exception report should be the validated search tool. Means what? This is normally missing in lot of computerized system validation. I might have already shared to you during my last discussion, but if not, I am telling you now. Whatever computerized system you are using and you are reviewing the audit trail, don't worry. After this session, the next session will be the electronic data auditing techniques. That time we will be discussing this topic in more detail. Okay, don't worry about that. I am just sharing a thought at this moment. So when we are reviewing the audit trail, there will be some search tool, review with respect to the user, review with respect to the selected period, review with respect to the method. So many search tools are used for review. That search tool are called as a exception reporting in the computerized system. And when you are performing the computerized system validation, that time the exception reporting system should be validated or search tool should be validated. That is the expectation by the MHRA. Hope you are getting the point. The approach to reviewing specific record content such as critical data, metadata or other paper data and audit trail should meet all applicable regulatory requirements and be risk based. Again I am telling, risk based, and this is MHRA expectation. I directly put the content from MHRA guideline and put here. So this is not my words. Again I am telling you, please understand this. So approach to review specific record content like critical data, metadata or paper records, anything, audit trail review should meet, of course, regulatory requirement they should meet, and it should be risk-based approach should be followed for review. That is the expectation by MHRA. Now let us discuss about the expectation by the WHO and EU guideline, European GMP. So both are exactly same. So I have put only common one slide for both of the guideline. So document should have unambiguous content like title, nature and purpose should be clearly defined. Perfect. Second point is very important now. They should be laid out in an orderly fashion and easy to check. Again, document should be laid down in an orderly fashion and easy to check. Again, here review documentation is important. Reproduced document should be clear and legible. Reproduced document should be clear and legible. So what is meant by reproduction of the document? So here indirectly the EU guideline and WHO guideline expects that the document should be in order, in an orderly fashion, so that it is easy to review or check. And when we are reproducing the document from one document to another, then it should be clear and legible. That means again it should be checked, it should be evaluated that whether it is clear and legible or not. This is what the expectation from these both the guidelines. Hope you are getting my point. Again I am requesting, if you have any questions, please put your questions and in the chat box. I will revert back to you in the comment section, no problem. Okay, so now the point is, what is meant by reproduction of the documents? So the reproduction of working documents from master document must not allow any error to be introduced through the reproduction process. Very simple is, I am preparing the SOP when I am taking the print through printer, or I am preparing the SOP, I am signing and I am controlling through maybe the photocopy, or I am preparing the batch record, I am signing in a hard copy form and I am taking the print and issuing the control copy. This is all the reproduction of the documents. Reproduction of the documents may be through printer or photocopy machine. Sometimes you may be using the computerized document control system where you need to take the control copies through the printer. So you can take the number of copies from the system. So in that case the printer will be the printer is used for reproduction of the document. So here the point is, whenever you are using you are doing the reproduction of the document, it should not allow the errors. Now you will ask me how it will allow. Whatever the document is there, if I am doing print or if a document is there, I am taking the photocopy, then how there will be error? See what happened, no? Sometimes what happened when you are using this printer continuously for so many documents, print, or if you are using the photocopy machine for printing the so many documents, then the point is, uh, sometime what happen, some alphabets may not be clear sometimes, or sometimes the alphabet, additional some alphabets or maybe some dots will appear on the print, and it can lead to the big error. I will give a short example, you will understand in a better way, and this is a practical example I am telling you. Frankly, I am telling, this is a practical example happen in one of the company. So what happened in one of the company, the batch record was a manual batch record issuance and control, and it was signed, and then the photocopy of the batch record was taken, and stamp was put on that as the control copy stamp, and then it was issued to the production. So what happened in that batch record, when the batch was manufactured, and the batch was the first validation batch, and the person who was there as a part of technology transfer team from R&D, he was also the new. So when the batch was manufactured and coated, it was a tablet manufacturing batch. So when the tablets were coated, the color of the tablets were very, very dark color, very dark color. The team who work with me, they will remember this example. I cannot share the company name, but this is a practical example happened in one of the company. So what happened? The coating was done and it was very, very dark color coating. When it was investigated, it was observed that in the bill of material, actual quantity of color was 0.001 kg. But due to the reproduction of document, during reproduction of document, that dot was got disappeared, and it was by mistake put in between the before the 0.01, and it looked as a 0.01 kg. So the dye or the color used for coating purpose was dispensed 10 times more in that batch, and it led to the very dark colored tablet. Of course, it was investigated and all, and this is the root cause what it is there. This is what the practical problem happened, and the batch was destroyed, of course. And the point here is you need to perform validation of the machines, printer or the photocopy machines used for reproduction of the documents. So if you don't have the SOP, or if you don't know how to do the validation of these documents, then please, you can contact me, that is not a problem, or shortly I will just share a thought how you can do the validation of a printer or photocopy machine. So what you can do, you can put only the limited, once it is filled, cartridge or the color is filled in the photocopy machine or the printer, then you give a shelf life for that particular cartridge, maximum only this some number of copies can be printed or photocopied. Second thing, after periodically you can take one you can make one paper where you can put all the A to Z, 0 to 9 and all the special characters on one A4 size paper, and that you subject for printing or photocopy through that particular instrument, and then verify whether all are available or not. All the things are available or not. Is there any additional dots are coming on the paper, or it in case of suppose it is A, instead of A of a small a, the sometimes it may appear as a 0 also or O also, because the point may not appear. Sometimes this happens during the photocopy or the printing operations, and it can lead to the confusion, but these are remote chances. But many companies already started implementing the validation of the printers and the photocopy machine. So this way you can also implement in your organization. Further, if you have any question, you can put in the chat box. So my point is, again I am coming on the same point, that the reproduction of the document, when there is a reproduction of the document, then you should ensure that during reproduction process there is not any error. That is what the point I want to touch upon here. Hope everyone is with me and understanding the content properly. As per WHO, this is the specific requirement of WHO. Document should be regularly reviewed and kept up to date. Means the document should have the periodic review. That is the requirement. Second is up to date, means always the current version should be available. If it is the old version, you will get the observation. When document has been revised, a system should exist to prevent inadvertent use of superseded version. So that is what I want to tell you here. Superseded document should be retained for a specific period of time. This is the expectation. So it is clear, so no need to much discuss with this. Okay. This is the specific UGMP requirement. All types of documents should be defined and adhere to the requirements apply equally to all forms of document media. Means you need to have a review for all different types of systems, like complex systems. That complex system need to be understood, well documented, validated, and adequate control should be in place. Document should not be handwritten. This is actually very old guideline, because earlier what happened, computers were very less, so the people used to prepare the document like SOP, site master file and all by manually, they used to prepare manually, and then the photocopy is to use for the issuance. So now it is not the case. All the companies have the sufficient number of computers where documents require the entry of data. But yes, where you have the documents where you are making the entry of the data, maybe the batch record or the logbooks or the formats, sufficient space should be provided for such entries. This is very, very important. So when you are reviewing the document before implementation, then you need to review the batch record or SOP formats or logbook formats such a way that sufficient space is available. In most of the companies, I observed that in the batch record or even in the logbook, equipment users logbook, very small or little space is given to write the product name. So the people will start writing in the shortcuts. For example, the product name is, esomeprazole extended release capsules. So people will just write ESO, CAPS. This is not acceptable. So that is the reason why people are doing the wrong things. Why they are using the shortcuts? Because sufficient space is not provided, and it is the expectation by UGMP when you are reviewing the document, you should ensure this. Hope you are getting my point. So I am just touching upon some guideline expectation to make you aware that how strongly you need to make your documents. Logbooks should be kept for major or critical analytical testing, production equipment, and areas where product has been processed. Of course, we are having the logbooks for every operations. They should be used to record in a chronological order as appropriate. Any use of the area, equipment, method, calibration, maintenance, cleaning, or repair operations, including dates and identity of the people who carried these operations out. So record in a chronological order. I put in the bold, you can see this. Why? Most of the time, there will be, suppose, the user's logbook in the balance, analytical balance. So what happened when there is a chronological order in a logbook? Then the point is, some people will miss the entry, and then at the end they will write the star asterisk and they will write missing entry. This is not acceptable. All the entries should be in the chronological order. If it is not in the chronological order, only making the star or asterisk and writing the reason that it is missed the entry, not acceptable. You need to raise the deviation why it is missed. Okay. An inventory of documents within the QMS should be maintained. Now here, this is very important thing. Inventory of documents means how many logbooks are available, how many logbooks are available with the quality assurance, how many logbooks are issued to the different departments, and how much stock is available in the QA department, that has to be maintained. This is what the expectation by the UGMP. So I put this expectation. Now the next is the WHO guideline requirement, and in the WHO there is a Annex 9. It is specifically for good review practices. I told you that, we will discuss about the good review practices, and there are 10 keys of good review. Hope you remember at the start of the session. So what I'm telling you, that this guideline, WHO Annex 9 is for the good review practices, and as per this guideline, two key stages in the review of reviewing medical product applications are validation and scientific review. So always remember, this actually is used for review of the the product applications or the dossiers, but this you can use for your routine documentation review also, because as per the guideline, you can put a two stage of review. One is what? Review is for validation, means whether everything is available or not. If you are reviewing, suppose, a batch record, whether all pages are available or not, everything is filled or not, any missing entry is there or not, available labels are there or not, available prints are attached or not, whatever the loose formats used attached with the batch record or the checklist attached with the batch records are available or not. That is what the meaning of the validation, that everything is available or not. And then scientific review. Scientific review means evaluate whether the operations are in line with the procedure or not, whether the same entries are available in the logbooks or not, whether the time lapse is there or no. There should not be time lapse. Then there is a overlapping of the time or not. Then the correct equipments are used or not. This is just scientific review. The yield is within the limit or not. If it is not, whether deviation is raised or not. This is scientific review. So this way you can distribute your two review process in a two stages. Okay, and this is what explained here in the slide. Hope it is clear about this guideline. Okay, so this is what the expectation of the guideline. Further, many people get confused about the counter check and review. Many people, so it is somewhat clarified as per by the FDA 21 CFR Part 211. The persons performing and double checking the cleaning shall date and sign or initial the log indicating that work was performed. I am just reading, so then I will discuss what does it mean by. Okay, all drug production and control records, including those for packaging and labeling, shall be reviewed and approved by the quality control unit. The initials or signature of a second person showing that the original records have been reviewed for accuracy, completeness, and compliance with the established standards. Now, what message you got it from these three statements by 21 CFR? When we are discussing about counter check or check by, that means the person should present in that area and verify whether the operations are followed in line with the procedure or not. While the review can be done maybe after 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes based on the criticality of the operation, or maybe the next day also, it depends on the criticality of the operation. And review indicates what? The review indicates that the records whatever are generated, they are accurate, complete, and complying with respect to the standards. Hope you got the clarity about the counter check and review. Why I put this slide specifically in this discussion? Because many people will use these both the terminologies simultaneously, check by and review, and they get confused. So that is the reason I want to make this clear about this counter check and review, how these two different topics are different from each other. Hope it is clear, right? And hope you are with me. Please don't go ahead. I am just putting my efforts to make you aware about the guideline expectations. Now I am touching upon or moving towards the risk-based approach. So definitely you know the risk-based approach. If you are not aware of the quality risk management, I will take a separate training on quality risk management and all. But meantime, if you need to learn, there is a short video about some 10 minutes video. You can go through this to have a to get the clear concept about the quality risk management. So I will give you the link. You can click and you can go through that link. Link will be in the I button. So on the head you will find the I button. So there is the you can get the quality risk management training in just 10 minutes, a brief. But if you want to a detailed discussion, detailed learning on the risk based approach or quality risk management, I will take a separate training on quality risk management. I will take a webinar and you can join in this webinar also. So in that what happened, we perform the risk based app, we perform the identify the risk, what type of different risks are involved with respect to the different operations, different activities, different steps, and then based on that you need to apply the risk based approach. Now this is a general answer, right? You don't expect this answer, right? So how practically you can implement it? This is general answer. So that is what now I am going to explain you how practically we need to implement. So the point is general risk management of documents and record. So what you need to do, you need to list out all the documents. Suppose I am the responsible person for review in the shop floor. So in the shop floor, there will be different documents. Some documents like calibration documents, balance calibration or the in-process instrument calibrations, some documents related to the equipment cleaning documents, some documents related to the batch record, some documents are like equipment users log books, you know. So I have to perform the risk assessment and I have to identify which document is more critical, which document is the less critical. Again, I am telling you, the risk-based approach does not mean that it will allow you to skip the review. Okay, risk-based approach will help you to prioritize your activities. Means first what I should review and after that what I should review. Hope you're getting my point. So the risk-based approach is not giving me the full authority to skip any review. Risk-based approach is only helping me to prioritize my review because there will be so many documents. Just now I explained so many documents are there in the shop floor. Same example is applicable for quality control laboratory. There will be so many documents and this is not practically possible to review all the documents at a time. So which document I should review first and which document I should review afterwards, that should be based on the risk base. So risk assessment will help us to prioritize our risk. So what you can do, you can perform the risk assessment for each document and you will come to know that which document is more critical and which document is less critical. Second is risk approach for scheduling the review. So like, you know, some documents you need to review periodic. So how you can review it? For example, some documents you need to review on every monthly basis. Some documents you need to review on daily basis. Some documents you need to review on online, maybe during the manufacturing operations, you know, based on which document you need to review online, which document you can review maybe, you know, at the end of the day, which document or which entries you can review at the end of the week or once in a week, which document you can review at the end of the month. This scheduling you can perform based on the different type of documents or different type or nature of the documents. For example, like batch record review or batch record entries, maybe it should be the online entries, so the review should be online so that you know, the errors can be identified quickly. The calibration documents you can verify, maybe, you know, again it depends on again the severity, but balance calibrations and all, if there is a print facilities are there, so you can verify based on the print, you can verify and you can decide the frequency. Or some documents you need to verify monthly basis or weekly basis to just ensure that whether there are any, whether the document is free from any documentation error or not, like temperature or humidity control records or cleaning records or other, so many documents are there, logbooks are there. So there may be some documentation error related non-conformities in the logbook, so that you can identify by reviewing periodically. So you can schedule your review by following the risk-based approach. And of course, the risk-based approach will help for identifying the action plan. So if any non-conformity is there, what is the action plan? That also it will help you by following the risk-based approach. So if you want to learn more risk assessment, you can go through the short video, or otherwise I will take, already I told you that I will take a separate training. But this way you can implement the risk assessment. And this is a small, the process flow I normally put in my training, that, simple, flow which guides us that, or which guides us, or, you can say that it will help us to take the suitable actions. So you can just go through that. So simple is that, is the content are having the problem, yes or no? So everywhere you will identify yes or no, and based on that you can just read these slides, you will get very easily. So the point is, the decision making, basically you can see here the diagonal boxes are there, the diamond shaped boxes. So that diamond shaped boxes are there, they are the decision makings, and rectangles are there for the decision. So you can just read it. It is very simple. Many companies even put the for decision making how to perform the risk assessment, when to perform and all. So they even put this content in a SOP also. So same thing you can use it. Okay, just recommendation, it is not hard and fast, but just for your learning purpose I shared this to all of you. Now here we will discuss in detail about the 10 key principles of good review, and this is again in line with the WHO Annex 9 good review practices. I don't know how many of you are well aware about the this guideline, good review practices, but as per this guideline there are the 10 key principles of a good review, and the 10 key principles are: the review should be balanced, thorough, consider context, evidence-based, identify signals, investigates and solve the problems, makes the linkages, utilizes critical analysis, well documented and well managed. These are the 10 key principles of a good review. You understood? Don't worry, I am explaining each principle one by one. Okay, please be with me. Okay, I will explain all the things. Don't worry about that. Be patient. Okay. So the first review principle is review should be balanced. Means what? Balanced review means when you are reviewing anything, it should be the balance. You should not consider that, I will review afterwards, let me finish now. Or sometime, you will consider that normally this document will have the no any observations, so I will just put the signature as reviewed by. No, if I want to review, I have to review in a balanced way, irrespective of any document. Whenever I am reviewing, I have to review properly. Thorough review means, again, I should not go in a superficial way. If I want to review the batch record, I have to review from page number 1 to last. I have to review with respect to the all entries in the logbook, with respect to all attached prints, attached checklists, everything. That means review should be thorough. Because when I am putting my signature as a reviewed, I have reviewed this batch record or I have reviewed this analytical record, it means that I have thoroughly reviewed the document. Please remember this thing. Considers context. When the review is there, understand in what context the information is there and whether that context is there or not. You're getting my point? For example, cleaning of the equipment from, let us say example, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That means what? 8 to 10 equipment was in the cleaning operation. So consider this context and verify that whether really the cleaning is followed in this period or not. Evidence based. Whatever review you are doing, you try to get the evidence. Traceability, evidence. Maybe printouts, maybe the PLC recordings if you are having the manufacturing record. So try to get the record from PLC. Additionally, try to refer the prints, get it from the machine, or try to go maximum number of evidences to ensure that yes, the operations are carried out in a correct way. Identify the signals. This is also very important thing. When we are reviewing the document, we should able to identify some signal. We should able to identify some signals. For example, if I am reviewing let us say example of cleaning record. Let us take a simple example, cleaning record. Many companies I observed that maybe once in a month in warehouse everything is clean. All the racks, containers, ceiling, floor, walls, view panels, everything is clean. And the cleaning checked by. So cleaning done by one person, checked by another person. Now the question is, warehouse is so big, so many thousands of material containers are stored, and how it is practically possible for that one person to clean all the drums, racks and everything in a one day. See, the point is what? I understand that somebody may be supporting that person to unload the drums, unload the containers and cleaning and all. But the document, we are reviewing the document, and as per the document, the cleaning done by only one person is putting the signature. That means that only one person is involved in that operation. This way it should we should able to identify the signal. Then how it will be a non-conformity, that one person will not able to clean whole area on one day. We should able to identify the signals from the data or the document while review. Investigates and solves the problems. We should not only do the review. Yes, this is a review, these are the observations and you take care of your things. No. We should be able to investigate why this is the problem, why there are the observations, and we should try to help to investigate and solve this type of problem so that tomorrow the review observations can be reduced. You're getting my point? So that way you need to able to investigate and solve the problem also. Hope it is clear to all of you. Makes the linkages. When you are reviewing any document, you should able to make the linkage. For example, manufacturing operation from 10 to 12 o'clock. Okay, no problem. Okay, perfect. Just take the print of from the PLC and verify whether it is run from 10 to 12 or not. Check the logbook entry, whether the logbook also uses logbook, equipment uses logbook is having the entry of a 10 to 12 or not. So you need to make a linkage of multiple document and evaluate that whether really the operations are carried out in the required specification or required procedure or not. This is what makes the linkages. And I am telling you this is in line with the guideline. Again, I am reminding you, okay? So please be with me. Utilizes critical analysis. When there are some critical aspects we should able to analyze in the batch record or in the analytical record what is the critical thing. We should able to analyze the things. Okay, like for example, the yield, whether yield is within the limit or going on the border side. Suppose the yield limit is 98 to 100%. So normally the yield is 100% or 99.8%, 99.5%, 99%, but suddenly the yield is going to 98% or not. If suppose when there are the borderline results, again I am telling you, when you are reviewing, keep in mind, when there are borderline results like yield is 98 to 100% and yield is 98.0%, or the loss on drying not more than 0.2% and you are having a 0.19%. Always remember that there is a possibility of any falsification or manipulation. Possibility I am telling, okay? I am not claiming, I am not blaming the person or I am not blaming the operation. What I am telling, there is a possibility of potential falsification when there are the critical analysis, means borderline results or at the critical stages. Well documented, very, very, very important. This 9 point, I really like this. Many companies, they have analytical reviewer in quality control. They have the, the shop floor quality assurance who are doing the in-process quality assurance activity. They are reviewing the batch records. The very important question is where the review observations are recorded, because the review should be well documented. So if I am reviewing the batch record, you need to have a formal document format or logbook or procedure to record the non-conformance or non-conformity identified during review of the batch record or review of the analytical record or any type of review. Any type of review. Any type of review, whatever you are doing, whatever you are reviewing, the review should be well documented. But if you see, most of the companies, they have the format review sheet they will attach with the batch record, and surprisingly the review sheet will be blank. Most of the companies I have seen this, review sheet will be absolutely completely blank. It is practically not possible at all. Any document, whatever you are reviewing, it is 100% error free, not possible, practically not possible at all. Sometimes the entry may not be clear, may not be legible, or maybe the writing may not be correct way or may not able to read properly, whatever may be the reason, but observations will be there. Observation will be there. 100% error free document is, possibility of 100% error free document is very, 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 very minimal. So if I am reviewing the batch record and if there are 10 batch records and all batch records are having a review sheet and all review sheets are blank, no observation, that indicates that you don't have a proper review practice or you are not documented the review observations. This is what the indication of the things. Hope you are getting my point. And 10th point is well managed. So 9th is well documented. So when I am reviewing any document, it has to be documented, and whatever the observations are identified, they should be well managed. Means when I am just identifying that the signature is missing in the analytical record review or batch record review, if signature is missing, so the corrective action should not be just the person put the signature and then action is completed. No. The point here is when the person missed the signature, whether the person is going to put on the signature on the current date or back date. Think in that way. and if required you need to follow your deviation procedures to handle this type of events, so that you will able to investigate in a detail and you will able to take the corrective and preventive actions so as to avoid recurrence in future. So how you manage the observation, it is also the very important. Manage the review observations, and that is the reason the 10th point is very important. It is the well managed. Whatever the documentation review is there, it should be the well managed, means how the observations are addressed, how the observations are rectified, how they are managed. That is the expectation under the well managed requirement under good review. These are the 10 key principles of good review practices as per WHO Annex 9. Hope all are with me and understanding the requirements of a good review practices, and hope I am not so fast. I am because what happened, there are so many, there is big content, so many points I need to discuss. So so that is the reason, I am somewhat fast, because what happened, the people will nowadays they don't have patience. So maybe after I am seeing that after a half an hour or 10-15 minutes, people will go out, go out from the training. So they don't want to they are not putting focus on the training. So that is the reason I am somewhat fast, so that in the less time I can provide a good learning. So if you wish, you can reduce the speed of your video and you can learn slowly also. Okay, there is an option in YouTube. You can reduce the speed and you can learn slowly. So good data review. So this is with respect to electronic data review. So I am just reading this thing because I will be discussing this whole in a next training session about the electronic data auditing practices. So I will just read this as a part of this review, because our topic is a review, documentation review, and electronic data is also the part of our document, only in the electronic form. So I am just reading this slide. So if you have any questions, no problem. But anyway, I will be taking a separate training session in the next week on this electronic data review, procedural compliance evaluation, evaluation of data governance, audit trail review, review one electronic data with respect to the other data, review of electronic data inline reported data, review of data based on weakness in the system, review of electronic data by considering the life cycle approach, business continuity system or business continuity plan, and disaster recovery plan and its effectiveness, review for deep dive investigations, review for ensuring traceability, practice evaluation with respect to the demonstration and access. This is the part of the good data review. I just read all the contents, don't get confused. Okay, again I am telling you, I will take all the electronic data review in detail in the next session. Don't worry about this. Okay, just as a part of this session I took this slide. Now different review strategies. This is also the the very important point I want to touch upon here. Different review strategies. So checklist. Most of the review are having a checklist. Very good. Checklist is very good, but the point is you should not restrict to only checklist. That is what my point is. Checklist can be used just not to forget any point. So if you forget any point during review, that checklist can help you to remember. That is the purpose of the checklist. You're getting my point? So the checklist, exactly only checklist should not be followed. So at the end of the checklist, you need to have one column, any other. So you should not restrict to checklist review, but you ensure that all checklist points are covered. And in addition to checklist, you should cover the other points or other aspects also. Sorry. Hope you got my point. Second is, when we are referring the checklist, many companies or many people are having a practice that complies, or not complies, right, they will write like this. It is not acceptable. When there is checklist, you write that what exactly you reviewed. Checklist for suppose the BMR checklist, and there is a first column bill of material. You write that bill of material reviewed. You write that. Cleaning, yes, cleaning checklist is reviewed, cleaning done on from so and so period. Or maybe some points you have to specify there to make you aware that yes, the activity is done. I will give a simple example so that you will understand in a better way. I was just trying to remember some good example for you. Suppose now you are reviewing your systems as a part of the self inspection. You are having a checklist. In process, some product is going on in manufacturing or in testing and all. So you just write complies not acceptable. What you have to write? Which product is running during the visit, or which product is under analysis during the visit, what is its stage, what is the batch number. That is what you have to write it down. And that is what the second is. Review and record the review details. Review key documents, periodic review updates on QRM and PQR. Some documents you need to review periodically. You are already aware that some documents are periodically reviewed, like validation master plan or SOPs or site master file. I agree with you. But many documents also need to be reviewed periodically. For example, quality risk management, the system-based quality risk management or equipment-based or process-based quality risk management should be reviewed, periodically. It is not a one-time document. Product quality review, that also should be reviewed periodically. Evaluate errors since last period. So I am reviewing the batch record since 1 year. Whether the errors are reduced, that I have to evaluate. Or errors are increased, errors are decreased. Whether the number of errors are decreased, is it due to the focus of the document person who is generating the document, or less focus of reviewer in identifying the non-conformities or the observations from the documentation related observations in the document. That I need to evaluate. So the point is I have to evaluate the errors periodically, that whether the errors are getting reduced or not. Evaluate positive effects after last management review meeting. This is also the very good point. So whatever the observations are there, that has to be summarized and that has to be shared during the management review. And when you are discussing these observations to management review and you are taking some actions or you take some support from management, then the point is you have to evaluate whether it is effective or not. Whether management review meeting is effective after that observations are getting reduced or not. So positive effects you have to evaluate after the management review. Hope you are getting my point. If you have any questions, again I am telling you, I am requesting to put in the chat box. I will revert to you. I understand that already 1 hour is over, but just be with me for next 10 to 15 minutes so that I can complete this point or complete this topic. Okay, only a couple of slides are there because these are very important topics, so I don't want to miss this from the learning. So if you are with me, please go through these slides. Last couple of slides are there, so please be with me. Okay, this topic is very important. Is why to qualify reviewer, why I should qualify the reviewer, why it is required. Because this is the guideline requirement. All guidelines are having this requirement. Besides the basic training on theory and practice of the quality management system and good manufacturing practice, newly recruited personnel should receive training appropriate to the duties assigned to them. So if you are the reviewer, you should have the review training. One thing, first point. Okay. Continuing training should also be given and its practical effectiveness should be periodically assessed. practical effectiveness should be periodically assessed. So how you will evaluate the practical effectiveness? You need to have the SOP for qualifying the reviewers. How you will qualify the reviewer so that practically you can verify the effectiveness of the reviewers. And these are the guideline requirements. Okay, reviewer should have sufficient knowledge and system access to review the relevant audit trials, raw data and metadata. So if the some person reviewer who is responsible for review of the electronic data or any instrument related data, then the person should have the sufficient knowledge and system access so that the person should able to review the audit trail and raw data and metadata. So what is audit trail review, raw data and metadata review, that we are going to discuss in the next session about the electronic data auditing techniques. Okay. So due to this requirement, we need to qualify the reviewer because we have to prove the practical effectiveness of the reviewer. You got my point? Many companies, they don't have the SOP to qualify the reviewer, and due to that many companies are now getting the observations that the company or the organization is not having formal procedure to qualify the reviewer. Okay, to verify the practical effectiveness of the reviewer. So you are getting my point. So how you will qualify the reviewer? This is what the answer here. How you will qualify the reviewer? You can decide. So I suggested the 1, 2, 3, 4 points. You can suggest, you can decide any of these or any combination of these 4. You can have a combination of 1 or 1 and 2 and 3 or 1, 2, 4. You decide, and which is suitable for your organization. I am just suggesting this. Okay. Comparative study with the approved reviewer. This is one of the the good procedure to qualify the reviewer. What the companies are doing, they prepare a specimen sample of document or specimen sample of the audit trail where they purposely make some errors in the document or the audit trail report, and then they tell the person or they tell the new reviewer to review it. So the new reviewer should able to identify the mistakes. Okay. Okay, this is the second point. Sorry, I am discussing about the second point, challenging the reviewer with set of challenge kit. So the people will prepare a challenge kit or a document with the known errors, and it is given to the person for review. If the new person able to identify the non-conformity, at the same time able to understand the correct documentation also, then person can be considered as a good reviewer. Sometimes what happened, when you challenge the person for qualifying the reviewer, then the person may also identify the normal text, normal documentation as an observation. So this also should not be there. It is called a false review. So false review also should not be there. But at the same time, the person should able to detect the observations or non-conformity of the document. So this way you can qualify the reviewer. The first is comparative study with the approved reviewer. So what you can do, suppose the same one document is reviewed by the one already approved reviewer. Same document you can give to the under qualification reviewer and verify whether the same errors the new reviewer is able to identify or not. And based on that, you put the criteria in your procedure. Again, you can design the criteria as per your company policy. There is no any such a guideline or specific guideline or expectation about putting the criteria. So you decide, and based on that you can qualify the reviewer. So this is called a comparative study with the approved reviewer. Second point is already I discussed about the challenging the reviewer with set of the challenge kit, where you can prepare a document with the known errors and it is given for review. Third is evaluation of continual performance based on observation noted and type of observations. This is also one of the point, and this point you can club with any of your review procedure. should not be used as a standalone. Why it is required? Because suppose now I am the reviewer, I start reviewing any analytical document or batch record. Okay, I agree with you. Perfect. Initially, I will identify as many observations, because it is, the new thing for me. But when I start review, then it becomes monotonous for me. And after that, after a certain period, my review observations will go down. Now here the point is, there is no documentation improvement. There is no documentation improvement, but the review has gone down. Review has gone down. So due to that, we have to evaluate whether the observations are reduced or not. So a very simple thing, whatever the observations are recorded, already I discussed that it should be well documented, well managed. So just make a trend of each reviewer and monitor whether the observations are getting reduced. If getting reduced, really it is a genuine, documentations are upgraded, improved, or review is disproved, that you can just evaluate, and then you can, based on that, you can again requalify the existing reviewer on periodic basis. Questionnaire or interview, you can have some questionnaire and interview of the, along with that questionnaire you can have the interview of the reviewer, what to be checked in the data, what to not check, what to, where the person should put focus, how to review the document, how to review the specific data, from where the data can be checked, that type of some different questions you can ask. And if you are getting some answer that this document need not be reviewed, not required to be reviewed, then you should raise the question why it is not been reviewed. Sometimes the system will have the inbuilt controls and all, so that type of knowledge, system knowledge the person is having or not, that also you can evaluate when you are qualifying the reviewer. And these are the 4 ways I suggested to qualify the reviewer. So you can, again, already I told you, but again I'm recommending you that you can make a use of a combination of these 4 points to make your in-house reviewer qualification SOP and respective record. Hope you all are with me, and really it is the great thing to be with you. Thank you so much. This is the end of this session, and thank you so much for your kind presence. This is my contact details, and you can go through this YouTube channel, Hitendra Kumar Shah. There you can learn a lot of different trainings. Already there is more than 1 hour is there, so I am not taking much time, your time. Thank you so much. You can contact through these numbers also, or you can connect our other services through this website also, about the audit and compliance services and all. Thank you so much, and ensure all-time compliance. Again, I am requesting before going ahead that you can put your questions in the chat box or comment section. I will revert back to you. And second thing, you can subscribe this YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and ensure all-time compliance. Thank you.